again, kind of staying in the realm of influence, my grandfather did have a context, but what about the down the line managers and the people that you worked with every day who didn't have that sophistication, and all they perhaps saw was someone new coming into the business and speaking a language that was completely different, and perhaps asking them to do a lot of things that was very uncomfortable. So what was your process to be able to change some of those steeped minds?
I think that process has not stopped. It's still continuing. When you are, for me, this is it's synonymous to a battle. There is a fort. As a leader, you're standing on top of the fort. Your troops are behind inside. You are seeing the enemy. They don't get a chance to see the enemy in its entirety. And you need to describe to them the enemy, right? You can describe the enemy in physical terms, but you can't describe the enemy in terms of competencies, right? So that is something that you experience, right? So it's like the writing is on the wall, but the reader has to read it, right? So it was a long process of getting people exposed internationally. Again, you can't do everybody at the same time. You take the key people, expose them, get them to understand what the reality outside the country is, and therefore understand what the gaps are between what the reality there is and what was our ground reality. Understand the gaps and then say, okay, we have a challenge here, right? And connect with that and get people to connect with it. So it's a lot of conversations, a lot of data, a lot of exposure. Initially, it's all about preparing people to first understand the gap. If you don't understand and recognize and accept the gap, you're not going to be able to change, right? Then you're doing it because someone else is asking you to do it, not because you fundamentally believe. So the challenge was to get people to fundamentally believe there was a problem, right? And there is a huge gap. And again, it is not something that you can do it overnight. You need to work through that whole process. And we're still doing it. It's not over.